In a world where there's worlds, there's a man who's a man who is tasked with doing the possible. Hey there. So most of my videos here lately have some sort of a structure in them. A beautiful structure. But what I've never actually done is go and show you, the viewer, how you can build a structure like this yourself. How can you, the viewer, build a structure like this yourself? Oh! So structures in Astroneer are simply made of soil. You take your drill and you build up, and boom, that is the same thing that structures are made of. But as you can see, this isn't very beautiful. There are no flat walls or anything, so we're going to have to do something smart. The leveling block is how we make our soil flat, that it may become walls. Then we use the narrow mod to expand from that with precision. But you may notice this isn't level with the ground, so we can't make walls, floors, or ceilings with it. That is because you must go to a location where it is level with the ground, which is just near these gateways. That is how you find a spot where the leveling block is level with the ground. Now we can build. Before we go into more depth on how to do this, your base is bones. I mean, get a load of this place. Stuff on the ground, stuff on the ground. Look, if you want to be able to build an actual structure for your base, you need to know what it is you want from your base so that you know how many rooms to put in that structure and how big those rooms need to be and all the like that.
So what do we need to make our base good?
We need a plan, because if we just start building randomly, our structure is either going to have too much space for all the stuff we need, or even worse, not enough space for all the stuff we need. So we need to know what we want our base to have before we start building the structure for it, so that we have the right amount of space. And so, in the base we're going to be building for this video, I'm going to start off with a main room that just has all of the general stuff you would expect a base to have in it. It's going to have printers, a smelter, solar centrifuge, just a little bit of everything so that you can do anything in there. To the left, we are going to have a soil to scrap room that automatically turns your soil into scrap. Then on the right, we are going to have a garage, basically, with a large printer in it that can craft your rovers, and then you can just park the rovers in there. Very neat idea. And then we are going to have an upstairs, because upstairs is cool. And up there, we are going to have our first room, which has research chambers. Just a bunch of research chambers in case you need a bunch of those to research a bunch of stuff, because that's just neat. A research room. And then to the left of that, we're going to have a room full of RTGs, because bases take power. So earlier I said we need to build where these gateways are, but we can't do that because they're here. So what I like to do is just come up on top of the gateway like this, where we will not be interfered with, add a little bit of soil, get our leveling block, get us a start for a flat surface just like this, and then from here we can flatten out. I'm going to want my drill to be much smaller, and since I'm in creative, I do not have to use the narrow mod. I will just press F while my drill is out, and then I can scroll the size down to nothing, and you will want this deform speed to be up. Just makes things work a lot nicer. Okay, as you can see, I've gone and made the entire flat surface we're going to be building on, and I colored it real nice, and I also made it thicker, as you can see on the edge here, so that it's not just a super thin surface. That would look extremely stupid. Okay, so this is the part where the video is going to start getting a little slower, because I want to be a lot more in depth for this part, because I want you to be able to take this information and fully understand it so that you can make a base yourself. Maybe you want to make it exactly like I am. Maybe you want to do something differently. Either way, if you follow along, you should understand this process pretty well. First thing I want to point out is that this right here is not the same color as the snow I have up here. As you can see, it's a slightly different color. And the only place you can get this color is Glacio. And the reason I point that out is because even in creative, if I whip out the drill menu by pressing F while I have my drill, it's not even in here. So the only way to get this color is by actually going to Glacio and using the terrain analyzer in survival and bringing it back. But once you do that, you can just whip out your drill if you're in creative and then press V twice to get the color picker. Then you can pick it and you will have it as your color. Then press C to go back as far as the drill options, back to the paintbrush. Then you can just paint this color on the home planet. And yes, you see it's a different color. I think it's a nicer color. See, it's brighter. I think it's nicer because it's brighter, so that's what we're building our base out of. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is lay out everything we're going to need for the just general room I talked about. The first room I talked about, that's just going to have a little bit of everything. I want to basically get all that stuff, place it on the ground here to see how much room it's going to take up, and then sort of think about how I'm going to build around it so that I know how big that room needs to be. So as you can see, this is what I determined we are going to need for our general room in the base. I feel like this is a good selection of stations for just a basic region of a base, and so that's what we're going with. And the next thing you want to do is sort of just outline where you want the walls of your base to be. I'm building with this color, but I'm going to use a different color because it doesn't contrast very well with the snow. So I'm going to use this color to outline where I want the walls of my base, and so I'll be back when I've done that real quick. Okay, so this is how I've decided to outline the sort of main room of the base. Right here, we're going to have the front entrance, of course. Just walk right in here. Then to the right, we are going to have a door that goes into the garage. To the left, we're going to have the door that goes into the scrap room. The reason I haven't put any platforms right here in this area is because this is going to be, you know, the ramp we use to get upstairs to the research room. And so that's basically how everything's going to stem from here. And so once you have a plan for how you're going to build your base, you know, you have it all outlined like this, obviously, you just do it. And so we're going to start in the corner with the leveling block because that's by far the easiest way to get a true flat surface. But yeah, just use the leveling block when you need. And then once you get a sort of good base, you can just start actually expanding with your drill like this by flattening. So this is what we want to do. We want to be one high all the way around first, and I'll explain why once I've done one high all the way around first. All right, so I've gone around and made it one high just like I said, and yeah, I also changed the color of the ground because that was getting on my nerves real bad. But the reason I've done this is because, as you can see, we now clearly, very clearly, have the doorways marked. Oh, but also we want to plan where we're going to put the windows, for lack of a better word, because yes, there's not like glass in Astroneer, but if we hide a sensor arc in the wall, then the sort of glow from it looks like glass, and so that's what we're going to do because it looks cool. You can walk through it, but it looks cool. And the way you do that, sad to say, yeah, there's just not really a good method to it, actually. You just got to kind of find it, and I'll sort of show that process, because really, it's not so hard, it's just tedious. So the first thing I want to say is, obviously, we're just putting this up here like this, right? We're putting it up here, you know, like sort of that, and then we're going to be, you know, filling in wall around it. But as you can see, it just doesn't balance. And so what we have to do is expand this just like this and make it wider, which is annoying because, you know, we have to go back and undo this after we're done. But in order to place that there, this is the cold hard truth of life. You're going to have to expand that just like that. And a good way to measure this is by going to the end here. You see this? We're trying to make sure that it will fit basically within each of these corners here. And I think this is fairly good. I really hope it is because, yeah, I don't want to have to redo it like I said. And before you lock it into place and get rid of all this, you want to start building the wall around it like this. And the reason we're doing this first is because we want it to be centered in terms of how the soil builds around it. That probably didn't make sense to you, so I'm just going to show you what I meant as well. We're going to build the sort of window shape around it. We will lock it in place, actually, so we don't accidentally pick it up, but we're going to have to move it probably. And what we're trying to do is just get an idea of what the shape is going to be like so that, yeah, we can see that it's not centered with that shape, so we need to scoot it over to the right. So we're going to unlock it, but also we need to get rid of the bottom part because where there's sort of a ramp coming off of the wall there, that's just the way soil placement works in this game, that's going to screw with us bad. So we're going to get rid of the bottom parts of the wall here and then try to get it back to where it was just like this, and then we can lock it in place and build everything back. Remove all of this right here, which is pretty annoying, honestly. And boom, this is what it's going to look like from the outside. I haven't done the inside wall yet, but this is what it's going to look like from the outside. One thing I will say is you probably want this side right here of the sensor arc to be facing outward because they don't look the same on both sides. As you can see, this side looks a little bit different. You probably want to make sure they're all rotated the exact same way, or you're going to be very upset when you either have to leave it and live with that, or come back and fix it later. But yes, just continue to sort of flatten out the walls around it. And what you'll notice is at the base of walls, like 90 degrees from them, there's usually another little thing here where you can flatten out from it. That's just there on its own. That happens naturally. And so once you get it like this, here comes the kind of annoying part. You need to get this part right here to also be, you know, walled off. And so what we need is the leveling block for that. Just sort of get it in here like that. And then hopefully that was good. It wasn't. So I've tried again and now I'm a little too close. What you want to do is get out your drill and just click very fastly. And what you can usually do is get it to, yeah, snap to true flat form. That's how you kind of like terraform without destroying true flat. You just tap really quickly. And so now we have this little ramp part right here, and then that expands to let us do it flat here. And also the same for the ceiling. And those leveling blocks, whenever you attempt this, are going to make this mess on this side. Just line up perfectly with the wall and just sort of drill them away. Then flatten out. Drill them away. Flatten out. Okay, so as you can see, I've gone and done it on the other side, and oh, that bar isn't peeking through on this side, and so that's why you got to be careful out there. Oh, I gotta redo it. Now we have ample space for a door in the center, though, and so we're gonna try to determine how we want that to be. First, we're gonna make how tall we want it to be. Then we're like, that's too wide, looks stupid. Narrow it down. Door. And so if you're following along, these the wall over here and the wall over here are going to be very easy because we're not doing windows. They're just going to be solid walls because those lead to other rooms. So, you know, obviously you wouldn't want a window going to the other room. That'd be kind of, it'd just be weird. And so we have those walls, and now we're going to start on this back wall where we're going to have the, you know, extra tall windows. And for that, you want to build the wall about, I don't know, yay high? Nope, too high. This high. This is how high you want to build the wall. Okay, so for this, we're going to be using this type of sensor arc right here. This one's actually symmetrical in every direction, so it doesn't matter if you have it rotated this way or rotated this way. You could even rotate it this way if you want, but usually I put it this way. But sometimes I put it this way. So it's really your choice. Now, the way you space these out is by making them overlap just a little bit. And I don't really have a definition for a little bit. I would say this. This is about how much you want to overlap them. And so that's the deal with these. You're placing all of these at once, unlike the larger sensor arcs, because the whole entire challenge with these is making sure they're spaced nicely. Now, I'm not going to do these all the way across here. I think that would look a little odd. So I'm going to do 3 on this side and 3 more on this side with a little break in the middle between them. I think that would look the best. We want this to be symmetrical. So we're going to place this one as far this way as we can before it does that, before it just boots itself up onto the side, which is inappropriate, truly. And there you go. So this isn't perfect. It's not. And so it's just close to perfect. So what we're going to do is obviously lock them in place temporarily so we don't screw anything up and sort of see how this is going to pan out whenever we start building around them, right? We want to get this sort of octagon shape. And so far, not so good. And since we can't get any closer to the wall, we're just going to move them further from the wall. And then also move our octagon shape over here further from the wall. Got to reline that up just like this. But yeah, just sort of make this octagon shape all the way across. And you'll see that they're not perfectly lined up, but they are sort of lined up. They're very close. And so all we got to do is just continue coming back up here to tweak that. Finished I am. And as you can see, yeah, it looks nice. From both sides, it looks very nice. And so, yeah, we're going to speed run the rest of this. Yeah, we're going to go really fast now because everything I just showed you is basically everything you need to know. I'm just going to reiterate it as we make the other rooms. But don't leave the video because if you do that, my average view duration goes down. For the garage, I want it to be a smaller room than the main room, but still extending off straight to this door, of course. Now, we only want this to have a large printer, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to put a large printer in here, but something else we need to consider is the size of a large rover, so I'm just going to plop this down. It just had to go crooked. But yeah, we're just going to place this here right now so we can get a basis for how large it is, and right now I'm going to base the size of the garage door straight off of that to garage door. All right, so here's our garage, and as you can see, I decided to make it quite a bit smaller than the normal part of the building because I think, you know, the depth makes it look quite nice. It means I couldn't put windows in it, so I guess, but I don't know. I think it looks better this way. Alrighty, moving on to the soil to scrap room. This one's also going to be fairly small, to be honest, so I'm just going to go on ahead and lay out what you need for that real quick. Okay, so this is everything you need to make a soil to scrap thing, and I'm not going to explain how this works because I feel like most people know how this works at this point. I have made separate videos on it, though. I just wanted to show how I fit it in here. And so, we outline, we window, no, then we win. Oh. No. And so that's the first floor. Complete. I think it looks quite nice myself. We've got the garage over here, the main room, and the soil to scrap room. And as you can see on top, I have left a strip open right here. Well, this is where we're going to be putting the ramp that goes upstairs to the research room, which is literally just going to be exactly on top of the main room, but probably a little bit smaller because out the front here to the right, I kind of want that to just be a balcony. So like a third of this is going to be balcony. So here we go. We only have 6 research chambers. I know that's not a whole lot, but really, I don't think you ever really need that many at all, honestly, especially if you make this in survival. By the time you get this late game, yeah, you probably don't need a research chamber in your base anyways. But yeah, I think 6 is enough, and this is how I've decided to orient them in. So right along here, we're going to have a wall, and then where I'm standing is going to be balcony. And then the balcony is going to wrap around actually all the way to here, so there's going to be a wall right here as well. Don't really know why I explained all that, though, because you're about to see, because I'm just going to go ahead and build it. Oh, gosh, just work. What? Oh, I need a minute. Okay, so we've got this whole room done. I really hope this is what I'm supposed to be showing you right now. I don't really remember. It's been a very long time since the last cut. I forgot to show you the ramp as well. So we have the ramp here, and yeah, it's just, well, it's a ramp. Okay, so I lied about where the RTG room is going to be. I made it out like it was going to be to the left of this room when I was doing my Microsoft Paint diagram earlier, when really I've decided it would probably go better on top of the garage because we don't need nearly as much space as I thought we would. This right here is enough to almost fully power all things all the time. Not quite enough to fully power all things in this base all the time, but everything running at once isn't really a thing that's going to happen, so I think it would be a waste of RTGs to go past this. And so that's everything I went over on my chart, but that doesn't mean we're actually done, because one of the things I specifically complained about earlier was bases with poor storage, and then I realized that this base doesn't have any storage at all, actually. So, I'm going to make a storage room. Okay, so this was originally where I was going to put all the storage, but I decided instead to do 2 trade platforms and an exo request platform because, you know, I forgot those. So good planning on my part. I've been stressing planning this entire video, and I forgot about that. And also something else I didn't mention is that, you know, we have our RTGs in here, but how do you actually get your power to your stuff? Well, you run it through the walls because they are hollow. You can put extenders in the walls since they are hollow and do it that way. Takes a while, so if you don't feel like it, you don't have to, I don't guess, but it looks a lot better that way. But yes, instead, I ended up putting the storage room down here out the back of the general area. And so here it is. It has all resources that are not hydrazine because hydrazine doesn't fit canisters, and I didn't feel like putting it right here even though it would fit. That's what you should do though. And you'll notice some of these are sticking out because I had to put them on medium platform A's, and the reason I couldn't get it as close to the wall even though there's room for that is because the devs added a secret feature where medium platform A's hate joy.